Hello and welcome back to AprilMayCodes. In today's video, I'm going to work on getting things from my inventory moved to the hotbar and removing them from the hotbar when we no longer want them in it. I'm going to start by copying over a couple assets, so let me grab those real quick. I'm going to go ahead and make a new directory in assets that I'm going to call items, I think is what we'll call this. And I'm going to paste my seed packs in there. And I'm going to go ahead and paste my crops in there as well. We won't use those in this video, but we'll use them in the next video. So for my seeds, we've got this carrot seed and this strawberry seed that we're going to use in this video. So I'm going to start in inventory.py, and I think I'm going to end up adding a bunch of these tile sheets in here for our item images. So I'm going to call this one self.seed. Seed images. I guess self.seeds is okay. But we're going to do self.seeds1 because I've got a couple different seed pack images that I'm going to use. So this is self.seeds1, and it is a tile sheet, which we'll need to import. The path is assets/items/seeds.png. Width and height are 16. There are, I believe, 6 rows and 7 columns. Let me double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. All right. So 6 rows, 7 columns. We'll import tile sheet. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some seeds to my inventory. When the game is finished, we're not going to start the game with seeds in our inventory, but this is just to have items in the inventory to make sure that we can move them to the hotbar and stuff. So I'm just going to throw them in there. So in seeds, we're going to add strawberry, and the amount will be 3. And then we'll say carrot, and the amount will be 2. And then I'm going to put those down here in the actual inventory slots. So instead of none, this is going to be inventory item. Let's see, that takes a name. So I'm going to call this strawberry instead of strawberry seeds because I want to be able to plant that type of plant and hopefully just take the name from the seed. I'll see if that'll work out. If not, I'll have to figure something else out. But for now, I'm just going to call it strawberry because then we put in the item type, which is seeds. Let's see. All right, so it takes an item type, a name and item type, and what else did inventory item take? An image. So that image is going to be, so that needs an image, which is going to be our tile sheet that we made, but it needs to be scaled up some. So we're going to do pygame.transform.scale, and then the image will be self.seeds1.getTile. And what I do, strawberry. So strawberry was at 2, 0. Whoops, I put an extra comma in there. All right, strawberry is at 2, 0 on the sprite sheet. And then the size is going to be 48 by 48. And then that's all we need for that. And we'll put the amount. What did I say for the amount? 3 strawberries, 2 carrots. Why do I have this line here? Is it because mine's too long? Okay, I don't care about that. So we'll do 3 strawberries. And then we're going to do the same thing. let's just copy this. And paste it in here instead of none. We're going to make an inventory item. That one is at 0, 0 on the tile sheet. And it is carrot. Okay. Now that should be all we need to do to have them showing up in our inventory. So let's go ahead and run the code. Did I change the amount? I didn't. Let's change that to 2. Okay. So if I run the code now, I should see them in the inventory. And there they are. That's perfect. But that text, the number could be a bit bigger. Let's go ahead and change that. I think I made it 20. And that is in down here where we draw text. So let's bring that up to 30 and see how that looks. That looks better. But actually, I think we can move it to the right thumb. So let's change the X position. The Y position looks good. It's kind of right at the bottom there. But let's bring it back to the right, which means we're going to add. So we'll just subtract a smaller number. So we do -10. Let's make that -5. And we'll do that same thing for the hotbar. -5. All right, run that code. And that looks much better. I think it's easy to read. I guess it depends on the color of the item in the inventory. But that should be good. We'll leave it like that for now. Now I want a way to move the items to the hotbar when I press enter. So we're going to go to inventory, move cursor. And if actions enter, actually this line should be indented. Yeah, we're moving the selector rect when we press tab. Oh, actually, no, we're not. Okay, so let's go ahead and unindent that. And I guess we'll just put this below it. We'll see how that works. So if actions enter, then if we're on the inventory, so if self.selected menu is equal to inventory, then we need to check if there's something in the inventory slot that we're on when we press enter. So we'll do if self.slots inventory, and then a string self.selected slot, and then item. So if there's an item there, oops, I misspelled slots. Okay. Then we're going to do for I in range 1, 10. If self.slots hotbar string I item is none. So if there's not, we're going to loop through our hotbar slots, and if there's not an item in it, then we're going to put an item in it. So that'll be self.slots. I guess I can just copy that line of code actually. We'll just copy this right here. And that is going to equal this self.slots inventory self.selected slot item. And then we need to change the amount. So I'm just going to copy this whole line here and just change item to amount for both the hotbar and the inventory. All right, so that should add the items from our inventory to our hotbar while keeping them in the inventory, because we're not removing them from the inventory when we add them to the hotbar. We're just making them accessible from the main game. So we press enter. Oh, I forgot to break. And then we're going to call break. Because if we do this, we're going to do it one time, and then we're going to break out of the for loop. And there's probably a better way to do this. I use the same type of code in the overlay for the hotbar, I think. I've used it somewhere else in the project. I don't remember exactly where. And there may be a better way to do it, but I don't know what it is. So this is how I'm doing it. So let's press enter, and that puts that in the hotbar. And there's our strawberry seeds. Perfect. That looks good. Now, when I press enter on them in the hotbar, I want to remove them. Oh, and you know what? It doesn't update the hotbar, in the overlay. So let's find a way to connect that to the hotbar in the inventory. Let's take a look at overlay.py. Overlay is here. So, all right, I think we can just check in the display function for items. So, and here's where I use it for I in range 10. We do. I know doesn't have break. I don't recall where I used it, but I used it somewhere. Anyway, I think we can just check here. Let's see. Let's first check if there's an item in the inventory hotbar. So above that line, we'll do if self.player, because overlay has a reference to player, dot inventory, dot slots, hotbar, string I, and then item. So if there is an item in the inventory, let's actually add if I is not equal to 1, because we don't need to bother doing this if we're on the first one, because we're not worrying about it for the tools, because the tools are always displayed. All right, so if I is not equal to 1, if there's an item in the inventory hotbar, then we'll set self.hotbar.slots let's see. Okay, self.hotbar slots string I item is going to be equal to self.player.inventory.slots hotbar string I item. And then we'll just copy that line of code for the amount. So we'll change this here to amount, and we'll change item back here to amount. All right, let's see if that works. Now when we add an item to our hotbar, I should add it down there, and it does, but we don't draw the number on there. So let's fix that. So right below where we've lit the image on the screen, we'll just add the draw text function. And I am back after a brief interruption from my children. So where was I? Figuring out how to add the text on the screen in the hotbar in the overlay. So let's see. when we blit the image on the screen, let's just put it right below that. So we'll check if self dot, we want to do, no, if I, we want to check if I is not equal to 1. So if it's not the tools, then we're going to draw the text on the screen. And that's going to be self.player.game.gameManager, because the draw text function is in Game Manager, but Hotbar or overlay doesn't have a reference to it. It only has a reference to the player. And player doesn't have a reference to it, but it does have a reference to game. So we'll do self.player.game, and then from game we can get to the Game Manager, and from Game Manager we can get draw text. And the surface is going to be surface. And then we'll do string self.hotbar.slots, and then string I, and then the amount. And we have to make that a string because the amount by default is an integer. So there we go. Size is 30. Color is config.black. And we need to import config. Oh, I did something wrong. Game.config. Okay, string I amount. I got a comma there, what I don't need. And that was it. All right, the color is black. And then we're going to do self.hotbar.slots string I rect dot bottom right 0, and I did -5. And we'll just copy that little bit for the y. That's the x. And then y, and that's going to be -15. Let's check that. Add it to the hotbar. Oh, so it's putting it way too high. -15 shouldn't put it, oh, you know what? I didn't change it to 1. We need to get the y position of the bottom right -15. Let's try that again. That looks better, but I think we could move it over a little bit. Maybe in the hotbar too. So let's go ahead and change those back to -10, and we'll leave it as -5 for the inventory because the square is a little smaller. And then the hotbar, or square is a little bigger in the inventory. Hotbar square is a little bit smaller, so we're going to move it to the left a bit more. So let's do -10 for those. So that's going to be right here. And that's also going to be an inventory in the hotbar when we do render, where we do draw text. We'll change that to -10. And let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that. Looks good. But I still need a way to remove them from the hotbar when I press enter. So let's work on that. All right, so we'll go back to inventory.py in our move cursor function. When we press enter, and below the inventory code, so we'll just come down here, and if self.selected menu is equal to hotbar, then we want to check if self.selected slot is not equal to 1, because we don't want to worry about the tools. And then we'll check if there's an item in that slot. So if self.slots hotbar string self.selected slot item. So if there's an item in there, then we'll just set that item equal to none and the amount to 0. So we'll copy this here. So if there's an item in the slot, self.slots hotbar string self.selected slot item is equal to none. And oops, I need a capital N there. And then we'll do the same thing, but we're going to change it to amount. And that's going to be equal to 0. Let's see if that works. I for inventory. We'll add both of these to the hotbar, then switch to the hotbar and hit enter. Perfect. And if we add it back to the hotbar, I wonder. Uh-oh. We shouldn't be able to do that twice. Huh. How can I prevent that from happening? Well, at least I'm able to add and remove things from the hotbar. Now let's see about, what can I do? All right, so we'll check if there's an item. All right, I'm going to copy this line here. And I think we'll just check. We'll first check if that item is in the hotbar. So if self.slots hotbar string I item is equal to the code that I copied. I use 2 equal signs. Is equal to self.slots inventory. All right, so for I in range 10, so loop through all of the hotbar slots. If the item is equal to the inventory item that we press enter on, then we'll break. Otherwise, we'll check if the hotbar slot is equal to none. And if it is, we'll add the item. Let's try it. Nope, I've got some sort of red line here. Did I forget my colon there? Yep. Okay, let's try that. All right, I'm hitting enter again and nothing's happening. And enter on this one adds it. And we'll remove that. And now we should be able to add it again. And we can remove both of these and we can add them both. Perfect. That is exactly what I was wanting it to do. All right, I'm actually going to end the video there because adding the tilling and planting things is going to be much longer. So it's going to go in its own video. But I'll start working on that shortly. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, feel free to give it a like or a comment and subscribe to my channel to stay updated on my coding progress. As always, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time.